Hi. I hate quoting ancient scripture to start a video, but the moment seemed opportune. In the words of Sant Yohani Singh, as he says at the 3 minute 1 second mark of the YouTube video titled Love Dose, Hello Uncle, Namaste. चलो काम की बात पे आते हैं. The Sarkar has been a little nutcut, engaging in some serious kanhaiya behavior, if you will. As you guys must have noticed, over 141 members of the parliament were suspended from the parliament since the parliament breach. Over 95 of them were Lok Sabha members. Despite all of this, on the 21st of December, the Sarkar passed the Telecommunications Bill 2023 in both the houses. Now, what is this bill? It has an obvious context. So far, the telecommunication sector in India has been governed under three laws. The Indian Telegraph Act 1885, which provided for licensing of telegraph-related activities and interception of communication. The Indian Wireless Telegraphy Act 1933 for regulating the possession of wireless telegraphy apparatus, and Telecom Regulatory Authority of India Act of 1997, which sets up the TRAI and the Telecom Discom Settlement and Appellate Tribunal, or the TDSAT. Besides these, there was also the Telegraph Wires Unlawful Possession Act 1950 for regulating the possession of telegraph wires, but it has been repealed as of 17th December 2023. Now you may have noticed the fact that the way telecommunication, which means communication through electromagnetic waves or wires, has changed just a teeny tiny bit since 1885, which was when these laws were made. The statement of object and reasons of the new Telecom Act says that the nature of telecommunication, its usage and underlying technologies have undergone massive changes, especially in the past decade. I will say it is very nice of them to notice. Therefore, there is a need to enact a legislation for the telecom sector that serves the needs of our society now. Now you know that the economy का हर एक industry, including but not limited to infrastructure, power, legal services, medical services, the media industry, and most importantly, memes जिसको देख के मेरे society का annoying बच्चा लोग मोए मोए करते रहता है, all of that depends on telecommunications. This might be a good reason for a bill as important as this to be not introduced as supplementary business at the 11th hour. I'm sure avid IFF content enjoyers must have picked up on this in our last video when Tejasvi explained why it's not a good thing. Not to mention, the parliament got adjourned for the day right after the bill was tabled on the 18th of December. 2 days later, it was passed in the Lok Sabha, and yesterday it was passed in the Rajya Sabha. And dekho, telecommunication is a massive industry. This bill deals with a lot of important aspects of it, which should make sure कि private profit-driven companies that provide a service as crucial as the internet, जिसके बलबूते पे constitutional rights and freedom directly depend करता है, are well regulated. And we not only recognize but support the need for legislation that makes sure कि सरकार monitors business activities for allocation of contracts, licenses, and procedure to acquire the right of way for laying down the telecommunication wires and other infrastructure. A lot of that is in the bill, and some of that needs further explanation in terms of procedure. But the concerns are surveillance and broad powers. The Internet Freedom Foundation summarizes the fasad ki jad in one very nice image in their first read. There is just ambiguity about what telecommunication services means under this act. So for reference, this is the definition under the 1885 Act for telegraph, because they thought, how can something be faster than a telegraph in 1885? And then here is the definition of the telecommunication in 2022 version of the bill. It was broad and included OTT platforms as well, which is not good. It could give broad powers to the government over mass publication of media over and above the trouble we're in with the new broadcasting bill already. But the telecommunication services bill is likely to include Gmail, Signal, WhatsApp, and all online messaging. This bill is potentially giving the stringent licensing powers and, most importantly, surveillance, suspension, and user privacy infringement provisions. Like, read clause A of section 20. It says, in the context of quote, on the occurrence of any public emergency or in the interest of public safety, if satisfied that it is necessary or expedient to do so in the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India, defense and security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, public order, or for preventing incitement to the commission of any offense, These powers are given under criteria as broad as interest of sovereignty, friendly relations with foreign states, or preventing incitement of any offense. Now, there is no clarity about what is an acceptable understanding of these concepts. Pick up the dictionary and use executive discretion, swadanusar vibes. Here's what it gives the powers for. It says, quote, direct that any message or class of messages to or from any telecommunication equipment or class of telecommunication equipment or relating to any particular subject brought for transmission by or transmitted or received by any telecommunication service or telecommunication network shall not be transmitted or shall be intercepted or detained or shall be disclosed in intelligible format to the officer mentioned in such order. So now here's where anxiety kicks in because message is defined to mean from a meme to an email. Everything that comes to your mind when I say message is already under this definition. Telecommunication equipment can mean phone also because technically that's what it is. But यहाँ पे at least the central government will be notifying what they mean. टेलीकम्युनिकेशन सर्विस के साथ जो एक्टिव वॉइस पैसिव वॉइस जो हुआ है उसमें क्या क्या इंक्लूडेड है ये वक्त और सरकार ही बता पाएगी अब क्योंकि if Telecom Bill 2023 becomes applicable to online communication services like WhatsApp, Signal, etc., which adopt the privacy protecting practice of end-to-end encryption, they will also be legally required to intercept, detain, disclose, or suspend any message behind the wall of encryption. Beyond this, India already had the most internet shutdowns in the world in the last year, sometimes to stop cheating in government exams. This bill also provides blanket powers to do more of them in the interest of national security, which sure, it's new. The problem is that we were all aware of this. There was a lot of procedural vagueness in the 2017 telecom rules which could have been fixed in the bill. The Supreme Court had suggested safeguards in the Anuradha Bhasin judgment to make sure internet shutdowns do not infringe on the fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression and the bundle of fundamental rights that comes with staying informed and connected on the internet. All of that has also not been incorporated in the bill. I attended the briefing held by Internet Freedom Foundation people yesterday, and they spent a good 40 minutes trying to explain how this bill was supposed to be a replacement for the Telegraph Act, but the overarching philosophy of surveilling communications and broad provisions that allow taking away communications from the people willy-nilly just shows कि ये colonial approach जहन से गया नहीं है. The bill also suggests कि 3 गुना ज़्यादा penalty भी देना होगा. The penalty imposed on users for using unauthorized telecommunication services, either knowingly or having reason to believe it to be unauthorized, has been increased from rupees 50 in the Telegraph Act to rupees 1 lakh in Telecom Bill 2022 to a hefty 10 lakh in the Telecom Bill 2023. There are also provisions in this act to let telecom service providers seek verification of identity through biometric-based identification. Now, there is no informed understanding of how such biometric data will be used, stored, processed, and shared among majority of the public. And in our Data Protection Act, which is still new and not at all robust enough. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act provides wide-ranging exemptions to the government also. Such technology should not be adopted for a routine procedure, especially in the absence of an offline alternative. And this biometric-based verification, especially if you're anonymous on the internet and services like Twitter or Instagram, which have an integrated messenger and are counted as telecommunications, fortunately or unfortunately, it's not just semi-conscious man podcasting on internet or Shahrukh Ki Diwani 93 that are being anonymous. It could also be a whistleblower or a journalist with sensitive government documents or LGBTQIA individuals who face threats for their identity for being public and want to express themselves online. The bill threatens necessary anonymity on the internet as well as the breadth of where the law is acceptable or applicable. There's a lot I did not have the time to cover in this video. There is a bill passed by the parliament in a span of 3 days which adopts the same energy and vibe. Read articulation and structure. I'll add it in the subtitles. Not important. As a bill from 1885 about telegraphs made by the British to run a colony. And it comes with the concerns of a government-controlled internet that we all should worry about. And you can read about the Telecom Bill more on the IFF website on the several pieces of content they are currently working on. IFF very actively coordinated and provided resources that helped me write, record, and publish this video. So help them help all of us keep up with the hastily passed legislation with broad surveillance powers. Donate to IFF today, and it will help them track internet shutdowns, privacy threats, and keep engaging with strategic litigations, which means that we can keep track of the threats posed to the freedom of the internet. मेरे को पता है कि it could seem maddening for us to ask you to help us to fight the good fight, but like
वेळ लागल्याशिवाय इतिहास घडत नाही.